So we just got finished with the campfire stream a little bit ago, and wow, was there a lot of content that they went through, mainly focused on season 4 and the PTR alongside it. But these are some of the most exciting changes that I've seen, and it does actually make me really excited to dive into the PTR on April 2nd and test out a bunch of things, well, particularly for the rogue, because I am excited for that. But I have a little bit of a description or a summary, a synopsis of what happened and what they're going to be doing going forward. This is exciting. The more specific changes and like class updates or things like that, they didn't really give all of them. They're going to be released in the full update notes, I presume, tomorrow. Let's start off with the PTR. It starts on April 2nd through the 9th. And because this was a little bit close to kind of when season 4 was supposed to start, season 3 is instead going to end 3 weeks later on May 14th, which is the day that season 4 starts. This PTR, for those of you that haven't used a PTR before, it's basically like a new account, but they're going to give us ways to boost basically everything that we need to boost level 100, get us our renown rewards, give us some free gold, get our glyphs max, give our campaign instant completed, and they're going to give us bonus drops towards legendaries. This is going to give us the ability to jump in, not have to grind out the game, but be able to test and experience, which is exactly the whole purpose of the PTR. It's meant to give the developers feedback and, well, for us as content creators, maybe give us a little bit of early access to try and create some builds for you all. Then we have the most important part of this live stream. This was the vast majority of the live stream, which is the focus on itemization. So overall, their goal is to focus on quality over quantity. And because of this, they have added a couple of new systems, including tempering, which we're going to get over to later. They're going to cause the pool of affixes to be a little bit smaller, remove, the damage on Tuesdays meme, basically remove a lot of the ones that were very specific or niche. They're going to make it so only sacreds, I should say, are appearing in World Tier 3, and only Ancestral Gear is appearing in World Tier 4. So you're not going to see the random trash sacred in World Tier 4 that's instant salvaged. The affix values are increased for the most part. There's going to be less affixes on pieces of gear from 4 to 3 as a base amount, but with the tempering system, that actually can increase up to 5. We could now trade legendaries. Gems are simpler, but have longer crafting tails, is what they mentioned. Salvaging and crafting is retuned. There's going to be less sorting. There's going to be item rerolling capped, and there's going to be a bunch of material consolidation. So this is a lot of information. Essentially, what this amounts to is, hey guys, we're going to change how the whole itemization works so that instead of looking through all these trash pieces of gear and trying to figure out what specific ancestral of the 30 that you just picked up is good, we're going to try to make it so that all the gear is less tedious to sort through, and most of your power is actually in you improving the pieces of gear through different crafting methods. Unlike what we see now, which is we kind of want to find the best piece of gear initially in order for us to do a little bit of item rerolling, and that's pretty much it. Also, all legendaries can be inputted into the Codex of Power now. Legendaries that are salvaged can get inputted now. So instead of going to the occultist and like pulling out the legendary affix, you can just salvage it and get that Codex of Power upgraded, which is really cool. And now you can actually have higher than the minimum roll in your Codex of Power. So if you find a max roll early on, boom, you just have it forever, which is so nice. I cannot tell you how amazing this is going to be for just simple quality of life purposes, but also just making your whole experience throughout the early to mid game so much better. Especially for those of you that are more casual players, I think this is going to be one of the biggest updates for you all. But then we dive into some of the new systems, including tempering. So tempering is this new system which you can add new affixes to items. So this allows you to add, and when I say new affixes, I mean new affixes that don't even exist in the game right now. So you're able to find these manuals throughout the world and throughout your grinding. You're able to temper them onto items, and these manuals can include class-based affixes as well as overall affixes, similar to what you'll find in legendary affixes as well. you could kind of treat them as like mini legendary affixes because they could do some crazy things. But most importantly, the thing that's most exciting is a lot of these affixes that you could find with these manuals oftentimes will work with your legendary affixes themselves, allowing you to kind of double up or triple up on a certain build, which is really cool. You can also find affixes now that are 1.5 times the max roll, what we see in game now, in the end game of World Tier 4 when you're grinding out. The other system that they've added is masterworking. So masterworking replaces the gear upgrade system, and it's the late game crafting system. It goes up to 12 levels, and it allows you to improve the value of your affixes. Now, here's the trick. It randomly improves the value of your affixes at certain levels within the upgrade tree. So what this can do is it could roll into, let's say you have 3 affixes on your gear. Let's say you roll into a certain affix. Okay, you roll, I don't know, you have max life, you have like damage reduction, you have armor, whatever you want. You roll it and you roll maximum life. Well, you could do this multiple times, which is pretty insane. So this really changes the sort of min-maxing that you can do for your gear, as well as just completely change how you really look at gear, because now every piece, even if it has like 2 of the 3 stats that you're looking for, or 1 of the 3 stats that you're looking for, but let's say you roll it, it rolls double up into the specific affix that you're looking for. Maybe you could re-roll one of the other affixes and then maybe temper on some new affixes. Boom, suddenly that's like one of your better pieces. This makes all items so much more interesting. Now, the only downside to this that I see is that it still probably will encourage you to look through every piece of gear, which is what they were trying to prevent you from doing. So something to consider. There are also a bunch of class changes for season 4. They did not really go into too many specifics. They gave some examples. One of the big ones was that they want to focus on sort of affixes that make you create or do something that had flat scaling. They're improving the scaling on that to scale with your weapon, and that applies to every class. A lot of the classes, basically every class, has several different nerfs and buffs that are happening with season 4. Mostly buffs, is from what I could understand, but all the specifics are kind of relegated to until we get the full patch notes. Lastly, they kind of went over a few endgame pieces of content, or I guess changes within season 4. Helltide zones will now spawn in World Tier 1 and 2. There's going to be a new event to summon mini bosses similar to back in season 2. There's going to be more dense areas. There's also going to be a new boss on Dariel. It's going to be basically Duriel, but with a different move set, as well as give you a little bit of variety to where you're farming the kind of ability to farm her. And lastly, there's going to be the pit, which is similar to the abattoir of Zir, but much easier, it looks like, because there's like no instant death. For example, you can do a lot more in terms of, messing up, I guess you could say. And this is the way you earn masterwork materials. This is very important because masterwork materials, in order to use your crafting system, your gear upgrade system, essentially, in order to reroll your affixes, you're going to have to do the pit multiple times in order to farm these resources. Now, the way it works is, as with the abattoir of Zir, you do need to go ahead and kind of complete this certain dungeon in a certain amount of time. If you don't, you do not get the masterwork materials, but you can still get the regular loot, which is why it's so much easier than something like the abattoir of Zir. But you don't pick up loot as you go along. All of it's at the end of it, which I actually think is going to be pretty exciting for a lot of people. That way you don't have to loot at all until you get to the end, and it's mainly just a bunch of legendaries that drop, which is pretty cool as well. So overall, this is my favorite update that I've ever seen in Diablo 4. And the thing that's most exciting to me is, of course, the itemization. I think everyone is most excited about the itemization. Honestly, the thing that is most exciting about the itemization, for me at least, is a lot of the quality of life that they're doing. Just making it easier to go through and read your gear, making it less, tedious, as well as just giving you options such as the Codex of Power to actually be a realistic option throughout the entire game, instead of using it the early game and then just ignoring it for the rest of the game. But also the tempering and masterworking systems that they're adding really gives a lot of dynamic to improving your gear, and is also going to kind of make the min-max grind a lot longer for those people that are interested in that, as well as giving you options if you're a more casual player to kind of just get access to some of the affixes you want earlier on because of these systems. So Really, really exciting stuff. There's a bunch of other smaller things that are going on. But honestly, it was a very jam-packed live stream, and there was so much to talk about that I wanted to give you all the relevant information that was extremely relevant for season 4. And if you want to test any of this stuff out, as I mentioned, this is going to be for the PTR and for season 4. May 14th is what you're going to have to look for, or April 2nd if you're interested in accessing the PTR. It is only accessible for PC client, so PC Battle.net for those of you that access the game there. That's how you can access the PTR, not on like Xbox, for example. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Kind of nuts, kind of exciting. I'll see you all for the next one.